Welcome back to Man Down Sports. As you can see from the thumbnail, Kendrick Perkins is the topic of discussion. We got to talk about Kendrick Perkins. He's making, making headway again on ESPN. Last year, it was all about the MVP stuff and what he said about Jokic and what he said about Embiid, and that heated debate he had with JJ Redick. It was a big deal and all that stuff. So now he's saying some other things that a lot of people disagree with. But I'm gonna tell you, it's not that crazy. All right, I'm gonna explain to you why I don't think it's that crazy. For this episode, pretty much what happened is that Kendrick Perkins went on ESPN and gave his top 5 offensive players of the season so far in the NBA. Right, so top 5 offensive players, and I think that's unique because if you were saying top 5 players just period in general, then you could bring in defense as part of the equation, and then obviously some players that don't play defense, can't play defense, or don't consistently play defense would probably kind of get left out of that top 5. But when you just break it down and say top 5 offensive players, then you're taking the defense out of the equation, and it becomes a different conversation. So we're going to have that conversation. I'm going to play for you how Kendrick Perkins broke down his top 5. And I'm going to tell you why people probably got a problem with it. And I'm going to tell you why it's not that crazy. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube. If you're watching us from Facebook, head over to YouTube right now. Give us a sub. Hit that like button on your way in or on your way out. And leave a comment as well. And share if you feel so kind to share. But do all those things that'll help the channel out. Definitely hit that like button. Definitely leave a comment. Right, and definitely give us a sub as well. So without further ado, we go listen to what Kendrick Perkins said and how he broke down this top 5, and I'll come back with my commentary.
And what's the motto today? We standing on business. That means this Big Perks list, best offensive players. And look, I don't need people getting in their feelings. Damn it, if you made my list, you need to be grateful, okay? Because I'm giving you props. Okay, we starting at number 5. Shanae, I feel your energy is there. I need you to stand on business right now. Run it. Bam! There we go at number 5, Jason Tatum. The man just hit 10,000 points. He's averaging 30 right now. No Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is gone. New team, no problem. He is a walking bucket. 0 flaws in his games. You want the hezzy pull-up, he got it. You want the mid-range, you want turnovers over both shoulder, the post work, JT got it all, averaging 30 right now. And in the conversation, early MVP runners. Now we going to number 4. We still standing on business. Malika, give me your energy right now. I'm waiting on it. I need you to stand on business. Let me get it.
Bam!
There we go. Joel Embiid. No Harden, no problem. Led the league last 2 seasons in scoring. Right now, the man is averaging 32 and doing it in great fashion and dealing with all type of distractions. So what? Put me on the floor with RJ, Malika, and Shanae and Perk and watch me still go to work and watch me have a 5-1 record. That's what I'm seeing right now out of Joel Embiid. That's why he's number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3, we still standing on business. Shanae, I need more energy out of you. Give it to me right now.
Sorry, Kathy. Bam!
There we go. Jokic.
Like Wakanda forever.
Jokic, the big fella. He's number 3. What he's doing right now, MVP type season, MVP type numbers, doing it in all fashion. Has 0 flaws for a center. Has actually changed the game at the center position with his ability to pass, the best passer big in the game. I got Jokic at number 3, and he got a tray ball out this world. Now at number 2.
Wait a second. Richard, your face on this one.
It's cool.
Okay,
it's
all
cool.
right.
He's not part of this. I'm standing on business today. And at number 2, I will not disrespect the guys that have been carrying the torch for 10 years plus. Run it. Bam! Bay Area. The green-eyed brother, Steph Curry. You know why? Because he's averaging 30 right now, and he's been doing it for a long time. And not only did he change the game of basketball forever, but he's an underrated finisher, one of the best finishers in the paint that we've ever seen outside of Kyrie Irving at that size. He's unguardable. Even when he don't have the ball, he's still an offensive threat. And then coming in at number one. Richie, you're not a part of this because, damn it, I'm standing on business even more. Bam! Kevin Durant. Oh, you know why KD is up here? This is a guy that can actually lead the league in scoring every single season. This is the best offensive player to ever touch the basketball. And guess what he's averaging right now? 30. Okay. 30-piece wing dinner, all drumsticks, hibachi style. Listen, here's the thing about KD, right? We could go down the list and we could look at all these fantastic players. And yes, I left some off and Luka and all that. But when it comes down to KD, he's one of one. And for scoring and getting buckets, he's been carrying that title for about a little over a decade now. Okay. So again, I'm standing on business on big purpose.
I want to head back to.
Okay, so there's three things that a lot of people have issue with Perkins' top 5 list. The first thing is they're pissed off that Kevin Durant is ranked that high on his list as number 1, right? A lot of people just don't feel Kevin Durant like that no more. They think he's overrated. They think he needed Golden State. They think he needed Steph. All these things, man. And it's good reason for people that's not paying very close attention to believe all that stuff. But what I tell people is that basketball and the NBA are not synonymous. Like, the NBA is a business. It's a company that makes their money off of basketball. Basketball is just not the NBA. Basketball exists outside of the NBA. Basketball is bigger than the NBA. They're not the same thing, right? So when you watch the NBA and they give you their brand of basketball and the version of basketball they want to sell to an audience, it's all business oriented. There's nothing that you see on the basketball court that is just 100% by chance or 100% dictated by the players. Everything that happens is influenced by the NBA's business interests, right? So what player they choose to market, what players they choose to be marquee players, what players they choose to push in the forefront are the same players that they're going to aid. And because if I'm trying to market you, I need you to succeed in order for me to sell you better. And they choose the players that they're going to do that to. And once you become a player outside of that, it don't matter how good you are, your success rate is going to be a little lower because we're not trying to push you and market you. And Kevin Durant has not been a player that they've been trying to market or push for about 3 or 4 years, right? But the players they are trying to market and push, you can see a difference in their success rate. So that's one thing. I don't want to talk about that too long. But that's one thing. Kevin Durant is number 1 on Perkins' list. And if you're just talking about pure basketball, not NBA basketball, but just pure basketball, it's kind of hard to argue that. It's really hard to argue that, right? He's probably still the best player in the league, but he has no protection in the league. He's doing it all uphill, all against the grain. The NBA is not giving him no help. But, that's fine, right? The second thing I got an issue with is Jokic not being number 1. He just won a championship. 2-time MVP. Some people think he should have got a 3rd MVP. He walked through the playoffs and just beat everybody, performed super well, and now we're off to a hot start, and he hasn't missed a beat. He's grew on me. Obviously, he grew on Kendrick Perkins as well, but he's grew on me for sure. I had a lot of videos last year talking about the play style of Jokic and how I thought it was unnecessary for him to go and hunt assists. I thought it was hunting assists sometimes, but it's not a here, not a there. I mean, it worked. They won a championship. It's validated. I can't critique the fact that he's the primary distributor for his team. I can't critique that, right? I got to bow down and say, hey, it worked for them. Why change it? So it worked for Jokic. You're not gonna hear too much more criticism from me unless that play style start to cause trouble. But It probably won't, because he's one of those marquee players that the NBA has interest in him succeeding. So that's the second thing they had an issue with. But the whole purpose of this video, why I really want to talk about it, is the third thing people had an issue with is the fact that Luka's not even on the top 5 at all. And people just feels like Luka Doncic should be top 2 or top 3 on every list, no matter what list it is. If it's the MVP race, Luka should be top 2. If it's the best scorer in the league, he should be top 2. If it's the best player in the league, he should be top 2. If it's the best offensive player, he should be top 2. Right? If it's the top players, the top 25 players under age 25, he should be top 2. Right? So I mean, they just feel like Luka should be on top of every list. And why are they saying this? Well, number one, he is good. He's great. He's a great player. Right? So obviously, just watching him play, he's a great player. But there's a list of great players like that, and 5 of them happen to be on Kendrick Perkins' top 5. You look at Tatum play, great player. You look at KD play, great player. Jokic, Embiid, Steph Curry for sure. You look at all those guys play, obviously great players, and Luka is one of those great players, right? So why do they feel like Luka should be ahead of those players on everybody's list? And it's based on the numbers, which is what we want to talk about. So a good movie is a good movie. I like watching a good movie, right? So why am I even saying this? I like watching a good movie. However, if that good movie gets remade 10, 15 years later, it's usually not always that good. You know, I mean, it's a good movie, but do I want to see the remake? Probably not. All right. And the reason why I'm saying it is because what Luka Doncic is doing as far as his play style, what he does on offense, and how he gets his numbers and stats is a movie I've seen already with James Harden. That you know, or it really, we seen this movie with Russell Westbrook the year before James Harden won his MVP. Russell Westbrook was a guy who was the point guard for his team. He was also the primary scorer, right? So you got the point guard duties, you got the primary scorer duties. We're going to you for points. And you also have the primary distributor duties. So you're the point guard, and not every point guard is the primary distributor, because Steph Curry is the point guard for his team, but the offense is ran in such a way in Golden State where anybody can get an assist, right? We're not relying on Steph Curry to get assists. He'll get 4 or 5 a game, but Draymond Green will get 5 or 6 a game. You know, now with CP3 coming off the bench, he go get 6, 7, 8 assists a game. So the primary distribution is not on the point guard in every offense, right? But it can be. If you're the point guard and you're John Stockton, you're primarily the distribution. The primary scorer usually is someone different when your point guard, who's going to have the ball most of the time, is the primary distributor, right? So in Utah, when Stockton was the primary distributor, Karl Malone was the primary scorer, right? With the Bulls, when they had a point forward like Pippen, or a point forward like Kukoc, or a point guard like Ron Harper, they was the primary distribution. Jordan was the primary scorer, right? With Kobe, he was the primary scorer, but the primary distribution may have been Ron Harper there as well. He was there with the Lakers. It may have been Derek Fisher, but like I said, that offense was ran in such a way to where one person wasn't the sole distribution for the team. The triangle offense what helped facilitate ball movement, and anybody could get an assist in that offense, and that's the best offense to run. The teams that run offenses like that, which was why Denver kind of confused me last year, because I'm looking at Jokic being a primary distribution, but what I didn't see is that I did see it, but I overlooked it. They run a sophisticated offense where there's a lot of backdoor cutting, there's screens all over the place, on the ball, off the ball screens, there's post ups, there's it's so much stuff going on with their offense. It's almost like the Princeton offense, right? So it's so much stuff going on in their offense, but they're using their big to make passes out of the high post and low post, which is what Sacramento did when they had Chris Webber and Vlade Divac. Chris Webber and Vlade Divac were a big part of the distribution in their offense, and they used their guards like Mike Bibby, Doug Christie, Bobby Jackson, Pager, Hito Turkoglu. They did a lot of cutting or catching and shooting off of the passes from Vlade Divac and Chris Webber. So that's basically what Jokic is doing. It's still a good offense where equal opportunity exists for you to get a pass or make a play and all that stuff. And it's not so much one guy. You're going to be the distribution for everyone, and everyone else is going to be standing around waiting on a pass from you, right? Which is what they was doing in OKC with Westbrook. He won an MVP that way because, of course, if you're the primary option for scoring and the point guard and the primary option for passing, obviously you're going to get double-digit assists, double-digit points. And then, in their case, in Luka's case, and Harden and Westbrook case, they weren't always guarding the best player on the other team's offense. So they were able to kind of track down some of these rebounds. And, that's just a triple-double waiting to happen when you're operating like that, right? So Westbrook was able to get great numbers and win an MVP that way, averaged a triple-double. Then he did it again. We were so impressed by it. We haven't seen no one average a triple-double since Oscar. It was a big deal. We got to give him the MVP, and we voted for this guy for MVP, even though he was in like the number 6 seed, barely making the playoffs, number 6 seed, right? But we were so fascinated by that triple-double that we gave him an MVP, right? And then he did it again the next year. And that's when everybody started complaining, like, look, we got to take a second look at this average and triple-double, man. Is it really what we think it is? Should we really be that impressed by it, right? Is he legitly getting these triple-doubles, or is he kind of stat padding? Everyone was questioning that, and then the video started to surface about how players like Steven Adams would have a rebound that he can get, but he'll see Westbrook coming, he'll box out and just move out of the way so Westbrook can get the rebound. Right, and you start to look at stuff like that and was like, man, it's just not organic. I don't respect it. Then we start scrutinizing everything. These numbers are fool's gold because it ain't like it's helping this team win. And if you play this style of offense, you can get those numbers if you're a great player, like Luka, Westbrook, and Harden are. They're great players. But if you play that style of offense where you're the only one that's getting the assists, and you're the primary scorer, and you're running the point guard, and you got the ball 75% of the time, heck yeah, you go get a lot of numbers, a lot of stats. So I think what Kendrick Perkins is seeing is that, yes, I'm impressed by Luka as a player, right? Obviously, just look at him. He's a top 10 player, hands down, without even going below the surface and looking at numbers. Just by watching him, he's easy top 10, somewhere around there, right? But you kind of got to make your conclusions about how good Luka is and how much better he is than somebody else, that might be his peer. And you probably can't use the numbers too often or too much to form your conclusion, because the numbers are somewhat fool's gold. The numbers are a product of, one, a good player, and two, the play style where you're always going to have the ball and you're the only one allowed to get an assist. So people will start saying, if you listen to that whole segment, when Richard Jefferson gave pushback to Kendrick Perkins about why he didn't have Luka in his top 5, and he starts saying things like his assists, same thing with Jokic. His assists set him apart, and I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because when we talk about offense, the main objective of offense is to score, right? So there's two things I want to point out. When a player scores, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be based on his ability to make a basket, his ability to score, right? So when I think about offense, I'm primarily thinking about a player's ability to score. How many ways can he score? How easy is it for me to shut him down? Where does he get his buckets from? Can he do it on and off the ball? Can he do it in the post? Can he do it on the catch and shoot? Can he do it from 3, mid-range, free throw, in the paint? We start thinking about that when I'm thinking about an offensive player. But they want to separate players. Like when you look at this list, all of those guys are good at their part. Tatum, yes, he can score with the ball, without the ball, catch and shoot, post, fast break, free throw, mid, 3, in the paint. Like he can score all of those ways. Same with Kevin Durant, same with Embiid, same with Jokic, same with Steph Curry. They all can do that with and without the ball on all 3 levels or 4 levels out. If you want to include the free throws, they all can do that, right? So what makes it different for people that's just looking at the stats is, well, which one of them are getting the assists? And that's where you lose me at, because if we're talking about scoring, we're talking about offensive player, they all can do that. Boom, that's good. Now we start judging who can do it better and who can do it more ways and who's done it on a bigger level. That's where you start to separate them. You don't separate them with assists. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because for a player like Embiid, who is not the primary distributor for his team, is not because he can't do that. If he wanted to play in the system where he was doing what Jokic is doing, he's got the skill set to do it. Embiid can pass as well. Embiid can handle the ball as well. Embiid can shoot the jump shot as well, right? Embiid can absolutely do what Jokic is doing, but he doesn't play in an offense where they're asking him to be a point guard off and on. So I couldn't judge Embiid and Jokic on how great of offensive players they are and then say, well, Jokic is better because he gets more assists. Well, he's asked to get those assists. Embiid is not asked to get those assists. That's not part of their offense. Harden was doing it for them last year. The year before that, Ben Simmons was doing it. Now Maxey is doing it. Like, he has a real point guard that runs his offense. There's no coaches in Philly that's been there that was asking Joel Embiid to be a point guard. None. As a matter of fact, he got criticized for being on the perimeter too much when Ben Simmons was there, because they was clashing, because Ben Simmons was a guy who couldn't shoot, so he would rather be in the dunker spot somewhere near the rim, which kind of made Joel kind of float to the 3-point line, and people was criticizing a 7-footer for shooting too many threes. And I agree with them. I wanted Joel Embiid in the paint a lot more. But that's my point. He's not a point forward or point guard. He's not doing that. On another note, when you look at Luka, he's the point guard and he's the primary distribution. So he's going to have more assists. So when you compare him to a Jason Tatum, who's not asked to do that, who's playing in the offense where we utilize a real point guard. We got Drew Holiday this year, real point guard. Last year we had Marcus Smart, Derek White, real point guards, right? Year before that they had not year before that, but years before that they had Kyrie, a real point guard. Before that they had Campbell, real point guard. Before that they had Isaiah Thomas, real point. You know what I'm saying? My point is, when you have a real point guard that's doing that, and you have an offense that's asking your point guard to be a point guard and is asking your primary scorer to be a primary scorer, those two separate people. But when you say I'm gonna put both of those roles in one guy, the stats are going to be different. The assists are going to be inflated. But you can't use those assists to say, oh, he's a better offensive player because he gets more assists. Because neither one of them are asked. Now, if they both played point guard and one of them couldn't get 9 assists a game and the other one could, then maybe you might have a point. But if I got a guy that's a point guard that's getting me 8 assists, which is Luka, he's getting 8 assists by being a point guard, and Jason Tatum's getting me 5 without being a point guard, and I can obviously look and see that they both can pass well. You get what I'm saying? Luka might be a better passer. I think Luka might be a better passer, but I'm not making that conclusion based on the assist numbers. I'm making that conclusion based on the passes he make. Right? Some of the passes I've seen Luka make are spectacular passes, but every great player can do all of those things. At a B to A- level, but you might have one person to do it at the A+ level. You get what I'm saying? So, but no, all these guys are great. So, yeah, I think Kendrick Perkins is in order to make his list, because what we're talking about when we say the best offensive player, we're primarily talking about scoring. We can care less about all those assists. My primary scorer ain't even supposed to be doing both of those roles anyway. If it was about the assist numbers to determine who was the best offensive player, then we would definitely have, when we start talking about who's the best offensive player of all time, we wouldn't be talking about Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan. We would be talking about Magic Johnson, LeBron James, and Muggsy Bogues or somebody like that. If it was all about assists, it's not all about assists. Assist doesn't separate you to put you in a upper echelons of offensive player. That's just something your team has put on your shoulders. Everybody don't put that on their best player's shoulders. Everybody has a different philosophy for how they run their offense. I want my primary scorer to be unstoppable at scoring, and I want my team to have a high assist number. That's what Golden State does. That's what Greg Popovich in San Antonio did and still does. That's what Phil Jackson did with the Bulls and Lakers. They was concerned about team assists. How many assists am I getting from my team? You can pull up coaches being mic'd up and talking about things, or you can pull up coaches in their post-game press conferences, and they start talking about team assists. Man, how you think your team did? They'll look at the stat sheet and look at team assists. They want it to be somewhere close to 30 team assists. On all their shots. We want 30 assists. They'll look at that and be like, man, we didn't move the ball enough, or we didn't do X, Y, and Z. Whatever the case may be, they want that team assist to be high. But it seems like Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic want Luka's assist to be high. They feel like Luka is perfect and infallible, and all we got to do is fix everything around Luka, and it'll work. And he'll get MVP, and then we'll make the playoffs. That's all they're thinking about. Priority number one is for Luka to get his numbers and Luka to win MVP. Priority number two is to make the playoffs, and then when they get there, anything can happen. This came out of Mark Cuban's mouth. That's how he's talking. And then when Jason Kidd was talking in the press conference, same thing. First thing he said, man, I think if we do X, Y, and Z, then there's no doubt that Luka can get MVP. He's letting you know what the conversation is between him and Mark Cuban and what the goal is. They want their MVP for Luka. I don't know why. I don't know I don't know what it does for Dallas and Mark Cuban business wise. I don't know why it's so important for Luka to get MVP, but they're set on Luka getting MVP, and to get MVP, they want those same numbers that James Harden had and Westbrook had, because they both won MVP with those numbers. And if you look at it since 2017, after Steph Curry won his MVP, I think it was LeBron, KD, Steph won 2 in a row, and then it went Westbrook. Ever since 2017, when Westbrook won his first MVP, or his only MVP, he won it averaging 32 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists, or it might have been, just let's say 10 and 10, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. Right? That's what he won the MVP with. We was amazed. Oh my God, triple double. Ever since then, we've been amazed by the triple double. And players that want to, be in the MVP discussion, they're saying, "Oh, that's what y'all want." So James Harden came back, same thing. Well, I'll be the point guard for my squad, and the primary scorer, and the distribution, and I'm going to average close to a triple double. So he went in there and averaged 30 points. I want to say 8 assists and 5 or 6 rebounds. So he was flirting with a triple double almost, so you got to have the points, the high points totals, the high assist total, because there's so many stats and so many numbers. Like, oh man, points and assists, you getting 30 and 9 points and assists, and you getting 5 or 6 rebounds. Oh man, that's close to what Westbrook got with a triple double. So anything close to a triple double, if you're stuffing all 3 of those stat categories, points, rebounds, assists, you're going to be in the MVP discussion. Westbrook won his MVP that way. Harden won his MVP that way. Giannis won his 2 MVPs that way. Jokic won his 2 MVPs that way. The only person since Westbrook won averaging a triple-double that wasn't close to averaging a triple-double when they won their MVP is last year when Joel Embiid won it. And he was only averaging 32 points. You know, of course, he was averaging double-digit rebounds, but he was only getting maybe 4 assists. The only thing that helped him is the fact that he was such a stud on defense, and he was in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. And people started, like people like Kendrick Perkins started calling out the nonsense about the analytics and the fact that you got to be stuffing the stat sheet with points, rebounds, and assists. You know, like that's always a big deal. That started to change people's mind on how they voted. Other than that, if it wasn't for that, Jokic probably would have had his third. And now you got Luka following in that same footsteps, points, rebounds, assists. He's averaging over 30, and he's averaging 8 rebounds, 9 assists, something like that. He's very close to a triple double. So yeah, the triple double is such a big deal for people now that you almost got to be close to it or flirting with it for people to have you in the MVP discussion. And then if you also are flirting with that, then they're starting to use that to judge you as a player and judge you above other players who's not doing that. But it's more attributed to the play style than it is the player, because I really honestly think anybody in the top 10 that if they played in the offense that Dallas is having Luka in, to where they're saying, we want you to be the point guard and we want you to take all the shots and make all the passes, but don't play in the defense so you can snag those rebounds. I actually think any of those top 10 players would be flirting with a triple double if they did that. That's my honest to God truth. So I don't use it to separate them. The numbers are great. The ceiling for it, we know Harden won the MVP like that. We know Westbrook won the MVP like that. But as far as going deep in the playoffs, it's not a lot of success behind it. I mean, Harden got to the conference finals, but I mean, he got to a conference finals of a lot of years of trying, and a lot of players cycling through. Capella, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, Westbrook, CP3, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, a lot of players cycling through and not sticking around for either, they don't like the system or Harden clash with them because they didn't like the system or whatever. It's just a tough system to play in for a long period of time where you got to sit and watch a player dribble through his legs for 8 to 10 seconds and then do a step back 3-pointer, and that's the whole offense. And then I'm supposed to be ready to bail him out whenever it's time to bail him out. Yeah, so it's crazy. It's gonna be interesting to see what Luka do with it this year. So far, 6-2, 7-2, or something like that. Crazy win. They just blew the Clippers out. He's playing lights out, man. He's gonna be in the MVP discussion because of the stats and the numbers. But I agree with Kendrick Perkins on this. I don't have him in my top 5. I probably would be different with Jokic, though. I probably would put Jokic 2 or number 1 or 2. And I probably would drop Kevin Durant down, but only through the lens of NBA. If I'm doing this through the lens of pure basketball, I definitely got KD 1 and Steph 2 and probably Jokic 3. Just his offense, yeah. So but if you're looking at through the lens of NBA, then you got to put Jokic 1 or 2. You got to. So that's probably the only thing I would change. I would keep Luka out of the 5. As a matter of fact, for number 6, it's not even a clear cut that it's Luka. You still gotta debate whether it's gonna be Luka, Devin Booker, or Kyrie Irving. Right. So Luka is not even a clear cut number 6 on this list. That's just the truth. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section, man. Did Kendrick Perkins get it wrong? Does Luka deserve to be top 5, or is he the top 5 offensive player in the NBA?